Good morning, La Casa de Cristo. A beautiful Sunday here. This is that which takes place in between the before and the after. This is the Interlude. What a wonderful message here this morning by Pastor Joel. We're so blessed to have him here and preaching for us this morning. If you were in the 8 a.m. service, you heard that. If you're about to go into the 9:15 service, get ready for a wonderful message this morning. And we're so blessed because we had our bell choir here this morning as well. So we want to talk to Dr. Jeremy Peterman. Come on in here, Jeremy. How are you this morning?
I'm well.
And you are the director of the bell choir. Tell us about the pieces that were played this morning.
We did two pieces that we call a solo bell piece for prelude and then a special music time. And I also arranged two pieces to be sung with the hymns.
And tell us about this instrument in particular. What is unique about this instrument in comparison to other instruments that are out there?
The handbell is definitely its very own unique instrument, and it takes a lot of people to make this whole experience effective because we had today 13 people just to make one song. So if one person's out, then you're going to have a lot of problems. But with the bells, it's a percussion instrument. Just like the piano, sometimes it's hard to identify what type of instrument is it. Is it a stringed instrument? No, it's actually also a percussion instrument. So we are playing heavy metal music.
Heavy metal music. How long have you been working with bells?
I've been working with bells for 13 years or so. I never had experience actually ringing in a choir, just one of my previous church jobs. I think it was the same one that Pastor Joel was at, not the same time, but part of my job description was, you are the handbell director. And I thought, well, I've never done that before. I have a lot of catching up to do.
Very good. We're so blessed that you brought those here to La Casa and are the director here. And all of our online audience, one of the things we like to do, Jeremy, is we like to get behind the scenes of worship. So if you don't mind, if you'll jump on some of the bells and show us how these bells work.
Let's take a trip over here. One thing that you will see that's different between my conducting and Jennifer's conducting the choir is where the strike point is or where the singing happens. So with percussion instruments, more the conducting is down, because that's where we typically, they're striking down, so I may as well conduct down too. So this middle device here is called the clapper, and that's what hits the bells. And I have to calibrate each one of these so it's going to hit the front edge of the bell as opposed to the back edge. Because when they're trying to stop the sound, you don't want it to strike again. So one, and I have my bells think of this one player that I had at another location. She always gave me this look that, yes, I'm about to play. So it's just a comforting, reassuring look for me that they know exactly what they're doing. So these are the bass bells here. We have my wife Rachel on this upper bass, and then Annika over there, she's on the lower bass. So these are the heavier bells, and they use mallets typically. Rachel and Annika do in order to play these, but you can also play them just like I did the strike there.
And are all bell sets the same? Like if we went to a different church, would they be the same there, or are they different?
That's a great question. Our set are called Schulmerich. That's the brand name. And actually a lot of churches don't like them because all the handles are black. If you consider a keyboard, you have the white notes and the black notes. Well, here, all the handles are black. So even though this is a white note, a B, then the B flat looks identical. You just have to find the B flat symbol. So some handbell manufacturers, Malmark in particular, they make the white handles and the black handles, so you know the difference if you're a piano type person that's familiar with those with the piano and what the black and white notes mean. So these you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
What kind of maintenance and upkeep do you have to do on these instruments?
Great question. We actually refurbished these, I believe in 2018 or so. We raised about $6,000, and that would cover all of these bells plus another set of bells. We have two extra octaves kind of in the middle here that we sent off to Schulmerich to refurbish them. We did it during the summer. I think everybody does it during the summer, and it took about 2 months or so to get back I don't even want to know what they had to do, but I'm sure they took everything apart, cleaned it, and changed out pieces as they needed. So everything is pretty brand new in terms of their condition. We do a lot to polish them and keep them in pristine shape.
And is it true that the bell that we have in our bell tower operates in a similar fashion? That's the same instrument, right? Just at a larger scale?
Yes, it well, it operates mechanically. There's some kind of device that does it. Yeah, it strikes. In fact, handbells originated out of bell tower ringing, especially in England. Some people say in Antwerp and other locations in Europe, but bell tower ringing, whether it was pulled or somehow mechanically operated, at some point people wanted to be more in charge of ringing the bells, and so they all maybe some bell towers have up to 12 bells, and people would pull them and kind of make a song out of it. But that could be kind of annoying to the villagers after a certain while, especially while they're practicing. So it was about 100 years ago where people in England decided, let's take this indoors. First of all, it's cold in the bell tower, so they made the bells smaller, therefore they could practice them indoors. But yes, we have one bell in the bell tower, and it's quite large. I have a picture of Gary under it, Gary Spears. I think it's about that wide.
Wow.
Yeah, very large. So if I don't think we can really allow our parishioners to go up there. They might have to sign a disclaimer or something like that because it's just several ladders straight up, straight up. Pretty dangerous. But
That's so fun. So everybody has a bell in their bell tower, and then of course everybody wants to be a part of playing that. So they say, "Hey, let's scale these down, bring them inside where it's warmer, and let's have some more fun with these bells."
yeah, it's somewhat difficult ringing in here versus where we rehearse in the choir room over there because the sound now has to travel to the back of the sanctuary and then up to us again. So whenever we perform, we make sure to get one practice session in here first in order to hear the acoustics. It's quite a different experience. So these are our bigger bells. I tend to put them in order of low to high. And what we're blessed with at La Casa, as I said earlier, we have extra bells. So if I have more ringers than really I can take on, I can actually accommodate that because we have those extra bells, so I can assign them, especially a new person. I might pair them with another ringer so that they can learn together and share that experience from past learning, I guess.
Very good. Now you mentioned the mallet use as well. Can you give us an example of what that sounds like with the different kinds of bells between the larger ones and the smaller ones?
Yeah, sure. And every single bell can be hit by a mallet, just particular style. But if you don't want to injure your wrist too much by playing the bigger bells by picking them up, then we have these little devices here. They're really cool. They're called rock-a-bell. So here's first of all the sound without striking it with the mallet. And then let's see what it sounds like with the mallet. But what I'm going to do is pick it up so the bell has a chance to vibrate. It's going to sound pretty muffled if you do this. That's a style of its own too, but here's what it sounds like if you're trying to imitate an actual ring. So there's a subtle difference, but that is your best alternative if you don't want to actually ring. So can I demonstrate a few different techniques
Please.
that you might use in handbell ringing? So our prelude was what's called a level 4. You can say that with your eyebrow, level 4, as opposed to level 2 and whatnot. We had several things that were quite exciting as far as techniques in the piece. Our first one was a tremolo. The higher bells might do a shake, which I can demonstrate. And as I already said, you can actually just strike the bell while it's on the table. That is called a mart or a mallet, depending on the bell size. It would sound different up there. So this is just a mallet. You can also pluck. You take the clapper and course, you can ring. Shall we visit some of the smaller bells?
Yes, absolutely.
The smaller bells are harder for me to play, not because of my hand size, but there are certain styles of ringing. Oh, wow. Yeah, you can tell she's set this up here in order to play. Okay, so this looks easy, kind of. You can play both bells at the same time. The clappers are both facing forward, but there's another way that my high trebles, they're very good at this. They're able to ring one note at a time. You really have to know what you're doing in order to isolate those bells. That in my next life, I'm going to be able to do that and really know what I'm doing. This is, I guess.
So when one comes up to a table and they see them kind of crisscross like this, that's what that means. They're in position for that.
I think she has probably planned to do that for this particular, at least for the opening. And then, of course, you can change things as you need. But as far as other techniques, so this is a shake. To give it a little bit of visual life, you can compare these two. Looks boring. I mean, exciting at first, but it gets dull after 2 bars. So you'll see my treble ringers. They'll do this little twirl here just to give it some life. I think a lot of handbells. I really want to convey the online presence, of course. So you'll see my handbell ringers there, always thinking about the congregation, how they look as far as the ringing gesture, and also facially we try and smile, have a good time. But yeah, this is another thing that's it's not necessarily musically effective, but it is it conveys life, and I think that's really important. Let's see.
So when the ringers come in on a Sunday morning, is there any day of tuning, or are the instruments pretty set?
They're interestingly, because we have the extra 2 octaves of bells, after we got them refurbished, we noticed an actual difference between, let's say, middle G over there and the other middle G. We're playing them when I had them doubled, if you will. And I thought, oh my, I never noticed that the 2 G's are slightly different. So we shipped them back. And the company, Schulmerich, they didn't notice that they were different either because they didn't really compare the 2 sets to one another. So they should be in tune. Now, whether or not the organ's in tune with the handbells, because the organ's another matter with cold and warm days. Yeah, they are what they are. We also have some chimes. I don't have all the chimes set out because it was going to be too much for today. But once we get into cantata, there's going to be a lot of chimes up here. Big chimes, small chimes. Chimes are really cool because you can also do a few techniques, none of which we're doing today. They're just ringing. But you can also do this. Oh. Hold on. We need a bigger bell for that.
Would a chime ever be hit by a mallet or not?
I suppose it could. We've never done that in a piece while I've been here, but why not? I think so. There's a whole bunch of techniques that I'll be rehearsing a new piece, and I think, wow, in the 7 years I've been here, we've never done that before. We've done a lot of techniques because they want to do difficult pieces that have as many technical things as possible. It's not all about just the counting and playing like this, but having fun with the mallets and other things. I know Catherine down there, she really loves, I think her favorite gesture is the march. It's a thing that you like to look for. It makes a very percussive sound when compared to just the ringing. So that is just it's like an accent on the piano. And as I alluded to earlier, it's imperative that I have my full set of people up here for every rehearsal. Every now and then they go on vacation, have to give them a little grace. So we, of course, allow them exceptions to be able to be gone. But it really hinders things when you have one missing person. Just think of going C, D, E, F, G. See, we have one person who's in charge of two bells. So every now and then I might go to the piano and cover a few notes that are missing. But that's what is really great about our choir. We have extra people. So every now and then, if they're willing, I'll say, hey, can you jump down to G4 A4s? She's never, our G, to be clear, our G4 A4 is never gone. But in other places, they might be able and be willing to cover a missing spot.
Are we going to be able to hear the bells in this year's cantata?
Heck yeah, we're going to do Prelude. We're going to do another special with piano, flute, and I believe string quartet. And then thirdly, we have one just solo bell piece, which is foom, 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 ba, ba, da, ba, 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 ba. And they're meloding really fast. Da, 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 da. That'll be probably our zinger for the show. But the prelude is called Angels Sing Gloria, and that'll have percussion with the bells, and it's kind of a bum, 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 bum. You'll feel kind of like you're on a tropical island with some congas. That'll be very exciting / laid back.
Great. So we have that to look forward to. Just a few weeks away, this year's cantata. We're so excited about that, and to have the bells a part of that as they usually are. So excited. Jeremy, one last question for you, for our audience, especially those watching that have never picked up a bell before, but are saying to themselves, well, that sounds really interesting. I might want to be involved. For somebody who wants to get involved or is a beginner, what would you tell them?
I welcome all people. We will be able to meet. Sometimes I'll take a new person and maybe I'll say, can you meet after the service or at a random time on a weekday? And I spend time with them trying to teach them about techniques, but just start with the stroke. That's the first thing. I call this the ready position, and then we go from there. And I've had actually very few people drop out. Once they start, they get really excited about always being there. And I'm really excited. We have Felicity and Reese, Felicity Scheider and Reese Clark, so the high schoolers and maybe middle school trying to get in there and learn. And they haven't backed out yet, so it's really exciting to get not only new, aged, experienced people, but also new young people in the choir. I'm really thrilled about that.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Peterman, thank you for what you do. Thank you for the music ministry you provide here at the church today, especially for the bells, but in all the music that you do. We're so blessed to have you here. We look forward to hearing the bells again at 9:15 worship, as we're about to go into that, but also in just a few weeks in the month of December, the Christmas cantata, the bells, and many more musical selections. So we can't wait to hear that. Dr. Peterman, thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless you. This has been The Interlude.